name is Tony K. Silver. I've been a LinkedIn profiler since 2009. Those of you that are old enough will remember 2008 was a rather nasty year. We had a major recession and I lost my job. And to find a job, I needed to go networking and I needed to use LinkedIn. So I got trained by a master LinkedIn trainer back in the day. I did go back into being employed, but in 2018, there was a clamor to learn more about LinkedIn as it was changing and changing and changing. And so I started my company and I've been working across the globe ever since, teaching people from 16-year-olds in schools right the way through to I've worked with companies in America such as Nike and some of the large global banks as well. Because we're all on it, but how many people actually know how to use it? And that's what I hope to unravel for you today. Give you some hints and tips about how you can use LinkedIn to achieve your goals.
Thank you.
All right. So there are some slides, and I'm going to share my screen and make sure I share the right one. And I'm going to probably go live as well at some stage. But say, if you could ask questions as we go, put them in the chat. If there's some really good questions in there, then Robert will stop me and get me to answer them.
Yes, sir.
I think it's important for people to know the answers rather than wait to the end when they may have actually forgotten what they were thinking about in the first place. So yeah, I'm going to go through a little bit of. I'm going to ask you a few questions as well along the way. Sorry about that. It's not. I'm asking you to ask me. I'm going to ask you as well. So the things that I'm going to cover in this, getting that all important, engaging profile, massively important, because we were talking about it actually in the preamble up to this event. People land on your profile. It needs to work very quickly in this day and age. We need to look at the activities because that's the fuel that drives LinkedIn. The 7-second syndrome, I'll explain to you. It is the lack of attention spans we have in the world. But how we can also search, it's a massive database. Also, how we can be found. And also some of the latest updates and trends on LinkedIn. Try and cram as much as I can within the hour to give you value. So we're going to start by, asking a question. How many people do you think LinkedIn claim are on the platform as if we speak in March 2026? Have a little think about it to yourselves, and then I shall reveal the answer. Global membership is at 1.3 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to put a caveat on that, if I may. Like this piece down here. Apparently, according to LinkedIn, 252 million people in America, which is 72% of your population. Think about that. 72% of all Americans, that includes kids.
Well, and there's 8 billion people on the planet, right? So you can see it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity outside of the United States.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. America's got the biggest amount, as I say, but 252 million is 72% of the whole population of America. That's a lie. It's not true. A lot of the statistics on LinkedIn, they don't give you the whole story. The 1.3 billion is actually accurate. But what they forgot to say is the number of people that have joined LinkedIn since day one. Now, LinkedIn have kicked hundreds of millions of people off of LinkedIn. So it's statistics and damn lies, unfortunately. But we do know that about 442 million are active. So about a third of what they claim is actually active. That's still a very large number. It's still a lot of people out there. As I said earlier, we also need to consider a couple of things. It's a massive website. If you've got a company page, you've got your own personal profile, they're on this massive, massive website. But I also forget, rather importantly, it's a database. All that information is a database. Therefore, it is searchable. And therefore, keywords, pretty important. And another little bit of homework for you. Think about the keywords that people would need to use to find you. And I'll tell you now, if you're an accountant, it's not accountant, okay? Because if you put account into LinkedIn as a search, okay, they've changed the criteria, but I can tell you before they did it, the answer was 12 or 13 million people. Do you want to be in that pool? You want to be in that search result? I suggest you don't. So think about the keywords. Are you a management account? Are you a business management account? Make sure you drill down into what you actually are rather than some generic title. But of course, yes, it means that you can be found and you can search. Now, I talked about the 7-second syndrome. I'm going to have to be, it's a bit of a lie. I'm lying to you already. That's not very good, is it? It was some data that was pertinent about 3 years ago because I'm a professional speaker and I did a talk about 7-second syndrome. Lovely alliteration, drips off the tongue nicely, doesn't it? It is the average attention span of someone who looks at a website. And of course, your LinkedIn profile is a page on that big website. Well, since then, it shrunk. Say Forbes reported last year that people can make up their mind in less than half a second. You know, if you're dealing with Gen Z, the youngsters, 1.7 seconds. This is the initial attention span. I'm going to say you're looking in between 5 and 10 seconds these days is what people initially will look at before they decide whether they're hanging around or going away. Massively important to understand that, not just on LinkedIn, but on any website. That's what you're up against. What happens in those 7 seconds or less? Well, it'd really be good if you could come up in a search because, if you're being found in searches, that's great. It's certainly achievable on LinkedIn, but you need to know how to use it. When they land on your page, they're not scrolling, okay? And I don't care if they're using the app or they're using a laptop. 7 seconds or less, they haven't got time to scroll down. They're only going to see 3-4 key areas. The banner that sits right across the top of your profile, headshot, and I'll tell you why I call it headshot, which is buried on the left-hand side. And under your name is the headline. Now, if they're interested and you've hooked them, they then might scroll down, but they might not. And that's the important thing. We want them to scroll down. We want them in that 5 to 7 seconds to go, yeah, there's something of interest here. I want to go and have a look a bit more about this person. Okay. Really important. So I talk about the 4 pillars of LinkedIn. It's a model I introduced a few years ago. That initial engagement is so important, which is why it's included in every single talk and every single workshop I do. Optimization, yeah. If you want to come up in the search engine, you need to make sure you're ticking all the boxes. Now, I use an analogy which I can use anywhere across the world, which is difficult sometimes when you're living in different countries and different cultures. I can make your LinkedIn profile look like a Rolls Royce. So can you. But if we don't put fuel in that Rolls Royce, how much use actually is it? The fuel on LinkedIn is the activities. And the activities on LinkedIn are not just posting, okay? Quite simply, it's not just posting. There are other things, and we will look at those. And as I say, the fourth thing is it is a very large search engine, and therefore we need to look at that and see what we can do in the way of using those keywords to be found. But that first part, as I say, the reason it's in every single workshop and talk I do, because it's so important. Get the top of your profile engaging. That's what mine has looked like. It probably doesn't look like that today, okay? Because I'm very much around, I'm going to use the word finessing. You can use any other word that you wish. Changes on LinkedIn are good. You go on LinkedIn and make a change. LinkedIn know you have made the change. You're on their platform. LinkedIn like you for being on their platform, okay? Really important. So this has been a snapshot of mine at some stage, maybe late last year. Elements, yes, the banner, this sits across the top. And there is, as you can see from here, I am a premium member. Therefore, I get access to what they call a carousel, which means I've got 5 that rotate round. It's something that LinkedIn are trying to push people to sign up to premium for as an advantage. I don't think in itself it's worthwhile. There are other things we need to consider. But you can put the information you need in a single banner. You don't have to worry about the rolling one. Headshot, yeah. Now, the reason I call it a headshot is because of mobile phone. Screen is smaller. It sounds ridiculous to say so, but it's smaller. And therefore, if I have too much of my body in there, are you actually going to see my characteristics? No, you probably won't. And that's the reason I call it a headshot. Below that, we have the headline. It's probably really important because although in my profile banner, you can see wording, but it's not really wording. It's still an image, which means automation bots cannot read it. Okay, but they can down here. This is genuine words. So the headline's really important. We will touch on pronouns as well, but they are least important, and also an audio headline. So those last two are only available to you to change on your mobile phone. You cannot do it on your desktop. Okay, you go and edit your profile on your phone, scroll down, and you'll see pronouns. Now you can put in your pronouns, the he, him, the she, her, absolutely fine. Mine's educator and speaker because there is at the bottom of it a custom version that you can use. Okay, custom version, educator and speaker makes much more sense for me to tell the world rather than I'm he or him. Next to it is what LinkedIn actually call name pronunciation. So now I'm afraid Tony K. Silver doesn't need it because my name's nice and easy to pronounce. But if you've got one that's harder, it's well worth looking at. But when LinkedIn brought this feature in, they've allowed 10 seconds. Well, I'm a speaker. I can say quite a lot in 10 seconds. So I do, and I turn it into an audio headline. If people are curious to push the loudspeaker, then they hear. And also, don't forget, people have different learning styles. Some people prefer to listen rather than to read. So then those two are nice little add-ons, not essentials, but at least you know they're there and you can consider, which is my main training word, adding them if you so wish. Let's have a look in more detail. Okay, because I say this part is really important, because if you don't get this part right, they're not scrolling around to see the rest of it. So as much work as you put into the rest of it, they're not looking at it. They're scrolling away from you. So don't do this, which, you know, unfortunately I still am seeing this. This is the standard LinkedIn banner. Okay, you get when you start. What does it tell the person that's viewing about what I can do to help them? Which is important. What can I do to help them? They're probably looking at it with the what's in it for me acronym, which I hate acronyms, but it's probably fairly accurate. Yeah, we need to make sure we put information in there. Now, I think as a suggestion, what they mainly are looking for is what does this person do and how do they go about it? So on mine, it will say LinkedIn profile. That's my official title. And if it was a single banner, as it was, I would have had workshops, one-to-one training, speaking, books, all the ways I deliver will be there on that side. So the person landing on it can go, right, so Tony is a LinkedIn profile and he delivers this way. That's what I'm looking for. I'm now liable to scroll down. I've told them what they need to know. Yes, I've got some images on there. I've got my logo on there, etc. Absolutely fine. But I've got the vital information that they need to make a decision. So, yeah, professional looking headshots only. Professional looking. I'm not said that we need to go out and spend money with a professional photographer. It has to be a headshot, as I say, because it just does not work on a small. And it's the same with the banner. Actually, going back to the banner, if you use words on a banner, when you type it in and create the banner, etc., make sure you go and check on your mobile phone that you can read them. Some people use smaller fonts, and when you look at their phone, you just cannot read them. And if you look at your own profile on your own phone and you can't clearly see something, no one else can either. So it's a good idea to check that before you sign it off and move on. So professional looking, yeah. Eyes are trust. I need to see your eyes. You know, if you met me networking, would you look over my shoulder? No, you look me in the eyes. You wouldn't stare at me. So yeah, and a smile makes you look approachable. And then the last one, which is sometimes contentious, but I worded it in that if you change your appearance, that if I went on a Zoom call, I will be double checking your profile against the Zoom call, going, am I in the right room? Have I got the right person? And it could be anyone at any age can do that, but make sure it's, because if your profile picture is not the same as you in real life, what else about your profile is wrong? It's putting the wrong thoughts in people's heads. So yeah, absolutely. Don't have to do it every 2 years, as some people will tell you. You know, mine's 4 years old and it still looks like me. I'm still old. I've still got a grey beard, so I get away with it. This is what you shouldn't be doing. Okay, and these are all real. I haven't made these up. I have seen these on people's profiles. Yeah, this is not going to work on a mobile phone because this person's characteristic, even now, I don't know, looking at even now me on a 15-inch screen, it's very difficult to make out their characteristics. Messy background, hands in pockets. Does this come across as someone I want to reach out to? No, absolutely not. Second one, the person was trying to be clever, okay, and failed miserably. Because I said before, I teach in schools, and a student I was teaching said, right, okay, is this a drug dealer? That's his burner phones and that's his stash of drugs. When actually he's a mobile telephone salesperson. Probably giving the wrong impression completely. And then other people that just try and be clever. I don't know when in America this lands, but there's a series of films called Kingsman. They're quite good. It's worth watching. It's a bit James Bondy with a little bit of a comedy twist to it. That's the logo. The Galahad was the main character, and he wore glasses. So am I connected to a Hollywood star? Yes, I am, but not this one. Okay, so and the person who it's belonged to, not only was he not the person, he wasn't in the film, and he wasn't even an optician. So I have no idea what he was trying to do with that. I have not got a clue. What we need is, okay, it's a bit boring. We are looking at these. Oh no, actually, I've got mine. What you're looking for is a clear background. Don't put, even blurring it, I'm not particularly favourite. I mean, my screen behind's blurred here. I'd rather have a solid image behind it. But make sure it's your headshot. Make sure you're looking at the person. Eye contact, bit of a smile, and it's up to date. And if you're dealing with countries, certainly in the Far East, Middle East, you need to be face on or turned slightly in towards the middle of the screen. If you're turned slightly away, even if you're looking back, that's seen as disrespectful. So just consider what exactly you're portraying when you do these things. And then we move on to the headline. I say it sits directly underneath your name. There's 220 characters, ladies and gentlemen. Use them wisely. But we also need to consider that we only see about 25 or 30 characters on a mobile screen, of which, of course, we are using mobile screens. Therefore, we put in your job title at the beginning. Tell people what it is you are, then go on to fill the rest of the 220 characters with some of the ways you go about it. A really good idea is to put in some credibility. It could be related to the number of years you've been doing the job, the level of the job that you're doing, etc., etc. But you are going to be in a search along with lots of other people, and therefore you need to stand out. Make the most of that 220 characters. Maybe even ask a question, because questions are powerful. And if your question is aimed at your ideal client, ideal employer, whatever it is you're using LinkedIn for, and they recognize themselves in it, you got them engaged. I often use a classic question. Are you on LinkedIn not sure when to post? I know there's a massive audience for the answer to that question because most people really don't know. So I got their attention. I'm trying to, in that 7 seconds, with my banner, with my headshot, and with my headline, get them to make the right decision, which is to scroll down to see more about my profile, please, rather than the wrong decision, which is I'm going to look at the next person in this search because you just haven't done it for me. So that 7 seconds is so important, which is why I always include it in every presentation. Yeah, it's not your job title. As I say, this is the old stuff. This is back in the day, what you are at what group. Yeah, that's the start of it. But you've got 220 characters. Suggest you really seriously look at using them. Now, you need to optimize your profile. In today's session, we can't go through every single detail. I want to give you the top line, really important stuff today. Your about section is that important thing. Okay, your about section probably is the most important section on LinkedIn, but of course, we need to get them to scroll to it. So let's get them to scroll. When they hit the about section, yeah, it is massively, but it's split into two parts. LinkedIn have split it, so they show on your first viewing the first 4 lines, and at the end of the first 4 lines, there's a little ... see more, which means that the viewer, if they click on that see more, gets to see the rest of it. Therefore, I contend that first 4 lines should give them a reason to do so. It depends on what you're looking for on LinkedIn. If you're in business and you're looking to generate business, etc., then maybe 4 lines of I do this, I do that, aren't I wonderful, is probably not the best thing. If you're looking for a job, it might be. I think a mixture of I's and U's. I actually ask questions in my first 4 lines, again, aimed at my ideal clients in my case, or my ideal employer if I was looking for a job. I want to give them a reason at the end of the 4th line to push that see more, because when they do, there's 2,600. So here we go. This is a typical bad examples. I do this, I do that, I am this, I am that. Why am I interested in clicking that? I could be, but as I say, I think it's far better if we go about giving them a reason to push it. Once they do, it opens up, and it's 2,600 characters long. That's quite a long piece. Okay, 2,600. Therefore, we don't want to do it in what I'm told is actually grammatically correct 2 or 3 paragraphs. It's too bulky. It puts people off. We live in a society today who takes in data in small chunks. So give them small, short paragraphs, absolutely. But it must inform. So let's go and live. I'm going to come out of this for a second, and I'm going to look at my profile with you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put that down the bottom. Let's go into here. Let's go to my profile, and let's show you what I've just been talking about live. So there's my profile. There you go. You know, I'm telling people, yes, I tell you it is a rotating one. But in there, you know, training, I'm telling people what I do and how I go about it. My headshot, you know, eye contact, you know, say it still looks like me. That's if they press it, we'll give them the audio headline or name pronunciation. And there's the educator and speaker, which is what my pronouns are. There is my 220 characters. And yeah, I have asked questions in there. I put what I am at the beginning. And I change it regularly. And I think that's a good thing to do. Okay, yes, I'm on it all the time. But actually set up your profile and just leaving it. You know, life moves on.
Tony,
you do other
we
things.
have a question from the audience here.
Go on, hit me with it.
Let's hit you with it, okay? So we can see here the little icon there, educate right between your name, Tony K. Silver, right? There's a microphone, looks like a microphone or whatever that is between educator speaker. So what you're saying is if you're a premium member of LinkedIn, there's an opportunity here. Now, what does that mean?
It's name pronunciation, which I spoke about earlier.
Okay,
you don't have to be premium to have it. No, it is available to everybody. Should have been rolled out if you go into your setting. But as I say, unfortunately, Robert, it's only on the phone. You cannot find it on the desktop.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. Absolutely not.
Since we're doing Q&A, I just have one other question here from the audience.
Go on.
It seems as if folks have had difficulty before when they lose their password into LinkedIn. I mean, I know this thought ran through my head. I've been around long enough. You were referring to 2008. I think that's when I became a member, around 2008. And there are people that I know that are on LinkedIn that are no longer with us. Okay.
Correct.
So it does seem like, you know, once you're up on this, if you lose your credentials or lose access, it is very difficult to get back in and to make edits. I'll say it that way.
I would agree exactly with what you're saying, and then I swiftly turn around and disagree with it because there are links that I can provide which you can ask LinkedIn to reset the password and get back in. It is entirely possible. Unfortunately, LinkedIn don't tell you about those links. They're not easily available to get hold of them. But if anyone in the audience is having any problems like that or knows somebody, then I can supply a link where you can apply to LinkedIn. Most people get theirs back without too much hassle. They're not the quickest in the world, but they will get them back.
Okay, so that leads us maybe to another question, and then please proceed. And I know you'll go over this toward the end, but I'm sure people in the audience are going to have questions for you. How do they reach you?
Okay, quite simply, as I said to you before,
Tony K. Silver.
The K, yeah. You were listening, Robert. Thank you, sir. The Tony K. Silver is really important because if you Google Tony K. Silver or you look on LinkedIn, there is only one of me. You cannot not find me. Okay, and if anyone reaches out to me through this group today, then If you want to connect with me, which is probably, I'm not looking for connections. All right, I'm not one of these people that I could have had 30,000 long time ago. I don't, but I like people because I can message you directly on LinkedIn once you're connected with me, and it makes life a lot easier.
Yes.
Or Tony at tonyksilver.com, which again is very simple to remember, which is in my contact information. Which, oh, thank you for that one. I'll go straight into that now because I hadn't planned to, but my contact information is up to date and correct. And there it is, Tony at Tony K Silver. I guarantee that if I go into 30 to 40% of the people in this room and do the same thing, it's not the right email address. What people have done is they've set it up back in, like you and me, 2008.
Well, that raises another question. Isn't it the case that, so many people that are on the call have multiple email addresses, right?
Yeah.
And so your LinkedIn profile is tied to a particular email address, right?
Yes.
It has to be the email address of record, correct?
No, you can change it.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying. So you may have joined it in 2008 and you may have used a Yahoo or something like that doesn't exist anymore. What I'll find when I look at people's contact information.
Oh no, I would only use leading edge ISPs like AOL.
Right. American Online, my God, that's showing your age. Yes, but yeah, what I'm saying is people will go in there and set up their account with their old one, and even with a Gmail account, but they actually work for a professional company with a professional email address, and they haven't changed it. And what they do is I go into people's contact information and going, right, okay, so if I email you at that address, are you even going to receive it? People are missing out on inquiries because they've got the wrong information in there. You can go into the settings and you can change it. Okay. In fact, let's quickly do it. This is useful. So from the Me button, this is very useful to know anyway for everybody. Settings and privacy. When you open it up, it's a brand new screen. Okay. Sign in and security. Email addresses is at the top. And therefore you can have as many email addresses as you want. You just make sure you make the correct one default. That did not exist when I joined LinkedIn. Okay. I made it the default because it's my company one now. So you can go and change it. Absolutely.
Very nice.
Okay. Let's go back to where I was. Let's go that was that. Come on. Okay. If you click on that picture or that picture, it will take you straight to your profile as well. It's a shortcut. So I haven't got to click into anything. Okay, so yeah, that contact information. If you're going to use it, make sure it's right and up to date. Otherwise, you could be missing out. This bit is very, very useful. You probably see this, and yours probably says add profile section because currently I'm in dispute with LinkedIn over there beta testing my bloody profile and I haven't got it right. In here, gives you the ability to add loads of different sections on LinkedIn, which you may not have. I suggest you go and have a look at it. Do yourself a favor. Sometime tomorrow, you've got some time. Just dip in there and see what sections you can add, which would enhance your profile. It's definitely worthwhile looking at. This is also something I use. So some of the audience will have heard of the SSI score, the Social Selling Index score on LinkedIn. Okay, it's been around for a long time. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people rely on it.
What is it?
Broken. The Social Selling Index is something that LinkedIn brought out. It scores your profile, gives you a ranking. Okay. A bit like Clout used to do in the old days, but it's broken. It has been for a while. And therefore, I tell people not to bother wasting their time. If you want an idea of how your profile is performing, in your analytics, you have this search appearance. And every Thursday in the UK, Wednesday with your good selves in America, this changes. But regardless of the number, well, the number will show you what's going on. But when you go into it, there's lots of useful information. The one I like the most is I go in, I look at the companies that have been looking for me, but I also just make sure these are the top job titles of the people that are looking at my profile, finding me in searches. Founders, executive directors, marketing specialists, business strategists, chief technology officers. I'm happy with that. All those people can become clients for me. If it's recruiters and buyers and salespeople, it's a nice barometer of how your profile is performing. But here's my about section. This is what I wanted to show you why I went live. So yeah, that dot Seymour should be there. Say LinkedIn at the moment in time are playing with my profile. But yeah, I think that first 4 lines should give the person a good reason as to why. When I open it up, yeah, lots of white space. This is 2,600 characters, all bar a few. But it doesn't look too heavy to read. Okay, and that's the point. If it looks too heavy, they probably won't read it. Top tips on what you should add into it. But again, consider and context need to be, go in there. Bullet points, good old fashioned bullet points. It draws the eye. So people will read down. But bullet points stop them. I'm an official speed reader. I know this. Okay, so put some nice bullet points in there. Yeah, my services. Tell people what it is that I do. Why would you use me? What are the benefits of using me? People love statistics. Okay, if you've got some nice positive statistics, stick them in there. It shows that I achieve things. And then let's talk about social proof. Now, LinkedIn has its own social proof. It's right down the bottom of the profile. So quite a long scroll, and most people will never probably even go down that far on your profile. I have been using it for years, therefore I have a number which most people have never seen. I have 403 recommendations on LinkedIn, but I don't think many people get to see it unless I tell them about it and get them to scroll down. But they look at my about section, and in the middle of this about section, there's social proof. There's a testimonial from one of the world's leading banks that says I do a brilliant session. That's social proof. Because the rest of my profile is me telling you, the viewer, what I do and how I go about it. And you could go, oh, so what? He's just talking about himself. Testimonial says I deliver. It's really important. I would say that's probably, it's not even to consider. I really would think it's essential. But this one at the bottom is totally essential. I get really grumpy with people about this. You put the effort into doing your about section, and you don't got to do 2,600. It's a limit. It's not a target. But people have got down the bottom and they're interested. I've read Robert's about section. He seems to be a nice chap. I want to reach out to him and sort of have a chat about how he could help me. Oh, but he hasn't told me how to. I've got to go looking for it. And it could be that out-of-date email at the top is no good. You're making the viewer work. They haven't got time to work. Just put a good call to action. Tell them what you want them to do and how to go about it. It's as simple as that. But big note. Do not ask them to connect with you or message you on LinkedIn. It sounds really kind of weird from a LinkedIn expert saying that, doesn't it? LinkedIn operate a first, second, and third line connection tier system. Okay. Now, I am first line connection with BJ and Britt, Robert, second line probably. That's not too bad. My sphere of influence, basically using the first and second line, is about 1.8 million people, which sounds fantastic. Well, hey, there's 1.3 billion on LinkedIn. What about the rest of them? They would have to have paid LinkedIn for premium and would have to have the fabled emails available to them to send me a message or a connection request. The likelihood is they haven't. Most of the users on LinkedIn are in the complimentary version. So when you say to people, email, DM me or message me via LinkedIn, connect with me at LinkedIn, you're probably excluding 95% of LinkedIn when you do it. Not a good idea. Anyone in the world can email me, so I put my email address in there. As you notice here, it's not clickable. The bots can't come in and start sending you spam, so it's completely safe to do so. Also, when you go and edit it, and I love LinkedIn's templating, it's very good. It's all nice and easy laid out. I don't have to talk to people about how you do it because it's so simplistic. All I want to point out in here is you can add 5 skills to your LinkedIn profile. They sit underneath. Even before they push that see more on the end of the 4th line, they're visible to people. What I really like about this, Robert, I'm talking to you because I can see you, is that LinkedIn Profiler and LinkedIn Expert did not exist on LinkedIn's database. I created them. So can you. So when you normally go into a database and you start typing, they auto-suggest stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but every now and again, I get to a point where that doesn't really fit what I want to do. I have to find the nearest possible one, and it's not really good. No, just keep typing. LinkedIn will stop suggesting, save it, and they'll add it to their database. Lovely. So this, wherever you see this on LinkedIn, it's a reorder. I can drag these 5 around, put me in a certain order. Wherever you see this on LinkedIn in lots of different sections, you can reorder stuff. So I love that. And that's what the about section is all about. Get that first 4 lines so they want to open it up. Okay, it's really important. So let's go back to this. Let's go back to the slideshow.
Any changes you make is in the edit mode.
Yeah, the pencil on LinkedIn is the edit function. And sometimes it has a save button, sometimes it auto saves. Again, it's not always clear with LinkedIn, some of their stuff. Other sections that will add value. Yeah, I showed you the add profile section button at the top. So there it is. That's what it should say, despite what I've just shown you live, because LinkedIn are mucking me about. And you can see, actually, looking at that, my headline is different to the one I've shown you. But when you go into that, you have options. The core stuff, you probably got that. Most of this stuff you had to have when you first set up LinkedIn back in the day. But there is other stuff in here. The recommended. Now, I'm going to talk about the feature section in a minute, because I actually often say that I think the feature section is the best section on LinkedIn that was never there that they've added. You can put massive amount of good stuff in there. Licenses and certification. Yeah, if you've got a license, you're an accountant, you've got a license to practice, etc. Lawyers. Yeah, stick it in there. It gives proof that you are what you say you are. Projects you worked on, courses you've taken. There's lots of stuff. And even there's an additional one. Anything that's actually beneficial to you and the viewer, it's worth adding in there. The other thing, of course, is that the more sections you have on LinkedIn that are complete, better search results you can get as well. So there's 2 reasons for doing it. But optimizing it is essential. Now, those activities, I mentioned them earlier, they are basically, the fuel that drives LinkedIn. So be active or fade away. Quite literally, because LinkedIn states if you don't post within 3 weeks of your last post, or when you do come back onto their profile, they slap your wrist and they don't give you the reach you deserve because you've been away. You've been a naughty boy and girl, and therefore they won't. What can we do?
Yes. Tony, we have another question in from the audience.
Go on.
Let me just see if I can summarize this. So you're describing what data points we should consider putting up there, and how we should shape that information, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question is, people that are LinkedIn has search capabilities. So if you're using this to find a job or to be found for something, right? Presumably there's someone on the other side looking for someone like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that they're able to search LinkedIn to find you?
Because in the search engine at the top, they put a search. I'll come to the search before we disappear today.
Okay, thank you.
It's you can do highly targeted searches in the standard LinkedIn. You haven't got to pay LinkedIn extra money to do it, and you can really drive. Keywords are important, as I said before. Define what your keywords are, really important. Lace it through your profile and make sure that they're in there, and then you'll get found for those as well.
So, for example, recruiters, right? Recruiters probably have a different version of LinkedIn.
Oh yes, there's a recruiter license which costs about $5,000 a month. They have to pay for it, and it has lots more twiddly bits, etc. They get far more targeted stuff.
I think that's where the question was going, right? So the folks that pay extra to get the search capabilities, right? They have the ability to target certain topics, certain data, right?
Yeah. But I think you can still do a highly effective one from a standard free one, just so people who don't know it. And I will show that. Make sure I do before we disappear.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Let's get back onto this. So yeah, most of the time, most people think about posts. Let's do a post, and it is probably the majority of people will do that. I also think about writing articles. I see these as positioning documents, so that you can prove yourself to be an expert in your field if you're using articles. You can use LinkedIn groups. Now, this is something that has had a bit of a checkered history. Back in the day, they were very strong. Microsoft purchased it in 2016, absolutely decimated it, ruined it. This particular section died, but it's come back. And I go to people, yeah, think about what groups you're going to be active in and make an effort. People are using groups again. There are lots of groups on LinkedIn when you first look at them and you go into them and find out no one's posted in years, even though there's 30,000 members. Be very wary which ones you get involved in. And then, yeah, interact with your feed 100%. You know, I'm not telling people they should be posting every day. In fact, LinkedIn don't want you to. But what LinkedIn do want you to do and what I want you to do is interact with your feed every day, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes. So those are the activities that can keep you going on LinkedIn. Tips on posting times and content. Yeah, this is a biggie, massive one. Okay. 3,000 characters is available to you in a post. I strongly recommend you do not use 3,000 characters. It's 2 minutes and 18 seconds of an average person's reading time. People don't read posts that long. And the important thing is at the end of the post, they won't see the buttons where they can interact with it. They won't see any call to actions you put in there. They've disappeared. You've lost them. So don't. About half that amount is absolutely fine. But when should I post? How often should I post? There's lots of gurus out there who tell you that this is the right time to post and you do. I spent hundreds of hours research and I'm going, yeah, that's for your business. It's not my business. So you need to do a bit of research around this. Now, for me, I'll just use myself as an example. So I work in education, as I mentioned. I work in the UK and Europe, obviously, and I work in America and Canada and Latin America. Time zones. Wait a second. You guys are 5 hours behind me. So if I post at 10 o'clock in the morning, you could be in bed still. You're not going to see my post, are you? You're not going to interact with my post. Probably not a great time. I spoke to a lady in New York late last year, and she was having her reach had dropped off, and she said, "Oh," I said, "Okay, she went in to work on the metro." I said, "Oh, great. So, what's everyone doing on the train in the morning?" "Oh, they're on the phones." Post then. She did and reported back an 8-fold increase in her reach because people were on. They got to work. They didn't have time to look at LinkedIn. They're far too busy doing their job. So consider when your audience will consume because of this next fact. There is a golden hour on LinkedIn. It's not a fable, it's true. LinkedIn, when you post, 1 hour later, will go back into your post and look at the engagement. This next bit is also important. Views or impressions, I don't care what you call them, on LinkedIn are irrelevant. I know a lot of people talk about them. I've had 5,000 views on my post. I don't care, nor does LinkedIn. What they're looking for is the engagement, the likes, the comments, the resharing. That's what LinkedIn is scoring. If you score enough points in that hour, they come to the end of it and go, right, well, Robert's post has been really interesting. Lots of people are commenting and liking it and resharing it. We're going to promote this to more of Robert's network. Now, the problem is that when you first post on LinkedIn, they only send it to, again, listen carefully here, ladies and gentlemen, they only send it to between 8 to 10% of your connections. So if you've got 1,000 connections, 80 to 100 people will get it put in their timeline. The others don't see it, okay? So it's quite vital to get more reach. Well, the best way of getting more reach is to get engagement. LinkedIn will then give you another 10% of your connections, plus they'll start giving it some organic reach because it's interesting. So that getting that time of day correct is really, really important, okay? So is the content. I use 4 words when I teach content. Quality. Don't post just because you think you've got to and put out any old rubbish. But be consistent. And that consistency could mean once a fortnight for you. Doesn't matter. As long as what you're comfortable with. And say LinkedIn doesn't want as much posting at the moment in time. Make it informational. Yeah, you're an expert in your field. Prove it. Don't give away all your golden nuggets, of course, but position yourself as an expert. And then the one that most people forget, make it discussional. Make sure there's a question at the end of your post, a call to action. Because I've read some great posts and there's nothing at the bottom. So what should I do? I just move on to the next one. Where I see one, how would you handle this situation? What's your thoughts on this? Oh, okay. I get on the keyboard and I respond to it, which is engagement, which is what LinkedIn's looking for, which is what scores your posts. So, yeah. And then the other thing that's a massive change on LinkedIn this year, commenting on other people's posts. So you want them to comment on yours. Actually, when you're looking at your feed, commenting on other people's posts has become really, really important. There are some rules, as there are on LinkedIn all over the place. The comment needs to be at least 50 characters long, or LinkedIn will assume it's AI. So what they're looking for is that the fact you read the blasted post and you're commenting about it, rather than me going on to Ronald Roberts and going, "Hey, great post, Robert, well done." I didn't look at the post, did I? I just did it because I'm chasing numbers. LinkedIn have acknowledged that and said, "No, Tony, go away." But if I go, "Hey, Robert, I really like your angle on this," and talk about it, make it 50 characters long, make it look as though I've actually contributed towards the post. LinkedIn are now promoting that stuff. I will get my comments pushed out into the ether and the network, as well as yours as well. So if Robert did a post, I commented on it, Robert will get 17 extra reaches of his post, and me and my comment will get 12. That's good for both of us. That's really good. So commenting is the daddy of all things. So when you comment on other people's posts, you're helping both them and yourself. And LinkedIn have put much more emphasis. I'd even go to say that at the moment in time, for some people, commenting on other people's posts is just as important as posting. It's got that severe at the moment in time. So yeah, don't just comment and run, comment and ghost, comment and go away. Look at your feed on the days you're not posting. Go and comment on posts that are worthy of you. Because when you comment and engage with something on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's a machine, it's learning. And it goes, well, Tony's made a comment on that post about AI, so he's obviously interested in AI, and we'll start sending him some more posts about AI. You're teaching it by, well, your actions, whatever you do, whoever you like, whoever you connect with, LinkedIn's continually learning what you like, what you don't, etc. So it's really important to do so. So yes, be active. Times and contents, commenting, how it can improve. Absolutely. The search engine, the search engine is at the top of LinkedIn. It's up there.
So what can you search for, Tony?
Let's go live and have a look. Good question, Robert. I didn't even prompt that one. You did it superbly. So let's come out of this. Let's escape from there. Let's go down here. So at the top of my search engine, okay, so I want to look for, let me have a look. I could be lawyer, could be bank, anything you want. Put it in there. When you first put it into the search engine, it goes off and thinks about it and comes back, and it gives you a series of these are the buttons you need to be really aware of. Okay, if I'm looking for people, then it will give me a list of all the people that are bankers. Okay, it's going to be a very large list because I've not been very clever in my search.
And these, I'm sorry, these bankers that you're searching for, they're bankers that you're connected with, or just bankers in general that are on?
No, this is person's second line connection. There'll be third line connections in there as well.
Okay.
But it's too big a list. So this is the button you need to gravitate to, ladies and gentlemen. All filters. Right, gives me a load of filters. Now this is a bit like a cut down sales navigator, but it's free, which is really nice. I like things that are free. So right, I know my first line connection, so second's a good bet. I want actually this banker to be in the United States. In fact, actually, no, I don't want him to be in New York. So, okay, metropolitan area. Let's take that out. I might want to add, there's loads of filters in here. I don't want to get too many because we'll be in banking, absolutely. And I'm going to put, I want someone, I don't know the person's name at this stage, but I want them to be partner. I want someone, I want a senior person. And then I show the results, and what it'll do, it'll apply all those filters to it and bring the search right the way down. Okay. So you can use the standard filters to drive searches from what is literally millions of people right down into manageable lumps. But you don't have to just look at people. You can look for jobs in banking. You can look for posts, companies, groups, courses. All this stuff is available to you in the free version. So this search engine all of a sudden becomes extremely useful, and use the filters and it really becomes useful. Now I'll give you another top tip here. So I'm going to say, financial director. Now, if I just put that search in there and choose people, the list is going to be massive. Okay. But if we apply the rules of the Boolean search, that means that if I put speech marks either side of my search, what it does is it tells LinkedIn or any database that you want to use, I want to see those two words together in the search results. Okay. Because otherwise, the headline could be he talks about financial and he talks about being a director later on, but he could be an HR director. He's not fit. By putting those in there, it will then reduce the search. It will eliminate people from the search, etc. This search is so useful. Realize what the time is. Let's go back in quickly. Look at other areas of my profile. So the feature section, I want to get this in because the feature section, add it from the top. What you can do with the feature section is you can add this. You can stick a post in there. So when you do that, LinkedIn gives you all your current posts, and then you push the feature button, and you, in old marketing parlance, you post it, you pin it in here. It's kind of useful. You can use newsletters and articles. Add a link. Yeah, you can put a link to any website in here, and it's safe because LinkedIn doesn't like you leaving their platform. They're very childish about it. They want you to stay all the time. But if you use their engine, they're okay with it. Okay, so put a link to your website or a page on your website, or about 2 or 3 pages. Now, I've got add an image and add a document because LinkedIn are playing around. It should say add media. When you push that button, it says to me, where is this media, Tony? And it's on my desktop. I can add images. I can add Word documents. I can add PDF documents. I can add slide decks. I can add video. You getting the gist
Tony,
here?
if you put a website, a link to a website, is it a hyperlink or is it just the letters and numbers?
It is the www. It's the URL.
So it is a hyperlink then.
It's hyperlink. It's a URL, and it'll go off to it. The thing about what LinkedIn have bought is that when the person's finished that website, they come back into LinkedIn, which is the important part. They haven't gone away to stay away, which LinkedIn like. Yeah, there's so much you can add. So looking at my feature section, I've got an article in here. I've got some media. There's loads of stuff in here.
And Tony, how much traffic do you get on things like that, on articles and whatnot? Now, I guess everyone's going to be a little different, right? It all depends on A, the content, and B, who you are, right? To attract people to your site. But
yeah, I say, at the moment in time, LinkedIn is very much running. I'm an expert on LinkedIn. If I start putting stuff out about LinkedIn, it's congruent. It makes sense. LinkedIn like it. If I start talking about other things, LinkedIn don't like it. Okay. So really at the moment in time, whatever your audience are specialists in, that's what they need to talk about. That's what's going to get them success on LinkedIn, not chasing the numbers, etc. So the features section, if you haven't got it, go discover it. Have a play around. I've got loads of stuff. And the great thing about this, LinkedIn's edit button and the other one I showed you, the reorder button, means that I can go in and I can move it around. So you see those 3 at the moment in time?
Yes.
Tomorrow, I may have moved it. I've got a workshop coming up or I've got a talk coming up. I'll slide that in so you see it. Because I don't actually think, Robert, people will go, when they're viewing my profile anyway, will actually bother doing the right arrow. They look at what they see. Okay,
so let me just ask you one other question here. Is there a way for you or for any of the rest of us that are LinkedIn users to what extent are we able to track the traffic to our site, and if people are looking at articles that we put up or other attachments, is there a way to actually measure that, or for us to see in a measured way?
I mean, everything you do, there's analytics on every post and every article you do. Just people never go into them. So if you produce something, when you've produced it, you can go back into it and you'll have all the analytics.
Okay, so you're saying these articles that you've put up, right? You have the ability to monitor. You may not be able to see who read those articles, but you'll be able to see that, hey,
numbers. I'll have the data. Yeah, I'll have the data around the numbers. Okay. Which is why actually one good post that a lot of people don't use anymore are polls, LinkedIn polls. If you put out a LinkedIn poll, which the viewer thinks that hey, Robert needs the information to get a decision in his business, people will come along and vote. At the end of that, when it's closed, when I just closed, and so I don't know if I can get it too quickly. One of my polls has just closed, and it's told me it's closed. I can go in there and I can look at who voted which way, and then I can reach out and say, "Hey, I see you voted this way on my recent poll. Why was that?" It tells me how many people voted, which way they voted. Yeah, there's lots of analytics on LinkedIn that people do not access. So let's quickly go back because we've only got a couple of minutes. Make sure I get as much as I possibly can in. Where are we? Slideshow from the current slide. Yeah, okay. So do yourself a favor, notification bell. On anyone that you're connected to or anyone you're following, you'll find this bell down the right-hand side at the bottom. Now, when you click on it, you've got options. At the moment in time, I've got this one set on all, which is not strictly true on LinkedIn. It means most. So every time that this person puts out a post on LinkedIn, in my notifications, my bar at the top, I get told about it. Most relevant is the one that they default to, and you can switch them off completely. So if I'm actually, as a group, if you want to support each other, rather than going to a LinkedIn pod, which is banned, it's criminal, horrible, duck. But if I push Robert's bell every time Robert posts, I get a notification about it. I can go in and go, I can contribute it to help Robert. And it's a nice way. Notification bells,
very nice.
Really nice. I love the fact they brought that in, and I say it was probably one of the best things. Just click there and off it goes.
Yes.
Now, I haven't got time for housekeeping. We only got 1 minute to go.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, I'm going to say, our time is about up, and I just wanted to see if you had any closing thoughts.
LinkedIn is an engagement pod. Okay. It is only works if you work with it. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours on it, but there's a little bit of initial getting that profile right, getting that top card right so people will scroll down, making sure a about section tells everything people know and how they can get hold of you. Be consistent with your posting. Absolutely 100%. What that consistency is really depends on the individual person. But don't spend too much time on it. But when you do, do it with purpose, do it with intent. Don't just be ticking a box, because that doesn't work on LinkedIn. LinkedIn likes it if you play along with them. But realistically, going back to, as I said to you at the beginning, that banner at the top of your profile is so important. 70% of people are visually orientated. They see it first. If it tells them what you do and how you go about it, and they're looking for that, that's a pretty good place to start.